Alright everybody, it's your boy Fernie back with a new series here. One that I call It Came from the 90s. The whole purpose of this is to showcase comic books from the 90s, whether they're the early, mid, or late 90s. Nice little blast from the past, and then showcase just how different a lot of those comics were in the past compared to today. Go on some nostalgia trips and then showcase a lot of the little quirks found within those comics. So what better way than to start with my boy, the Punisher. As you can see here, this is from 1992. So what a great way to start this series. Prime example of a comic book that it came from the 90s. So let's go ahead and let's open it here. So it's Punisher number 74. As you can see, it's him doing what he does best when it comes to utilizing his trademark guns. Of course, you don't see that today, which is a shame. But let's go ahead. See, this is it. This is what I mean right here. Right off the bat. An advertisement you'll never see today. So apparently there was something back then that was called the Turbo Touch 360. Looks like it was made. Wow. Look at that. When Street Fighter 2 was coming out on the Super Nintendo system, and it's great for Sonic 2 on Sega Genesis. Look at that. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3, the Manhattan Project from the NES system. So it looks like here, instead of having a traditional controller, looks like it's inside. And you just simply move your finger, and then it'll mimic the up, down, left, right motion. And then it looks like they have different designs. 4 buttons there. What looks like 3 buttons. And then finally, 4 other buttons, but they're set for different systems. Neat stuff. And then here it showcases the Punisher, the first couple of pages. It looks like this issue was January 1993. I thought this was 1992. Yeah, it says 1992. I guess it's that thing where comic books go through a delay. Like they're printed at one day, but then they showcase on the newsstands on a different day. Great shot right there when it comes to the Punisher, about to punish some criminals. Let's see who the people are. I don't okay, Palmiotti, I recognize him. Braitworth, I recognize him. He's an artist that I have some other comic books for, and he did one, I believe, with the Punisher and Wolverine joining forces to take on the Kingpin. I can't remember. I think it was called Damage something. And then he also did the Justice series with Alex Ross. So it's great. It's neat to see. Looks like he was doing work here on the Punisher. And then as you can see, basically the series is me going page by page and then finding the little quirks throughout the actual pages. There he is, about to look like inflate a balloon. High tension weather balloon filled with helium. Oh, so he's going to blow it up basically inside this elevator that he's at. Oh, bam, another perfect example. Look at this. Back when you had the NES, Super Nintendo, and Game Boy. I remember seeing these ads back then, and it was so cool. I could only just dream about these video games because they were so expensive, so out of my league. No chance whatsoever for me ever owning it. So the closest I ever got was taking a look, and I remember spending a good amount of time just marveling at these screenshots. This was state-of-the-art back then. Can you believe that? Well, today, actually, on YouTube, you can find those videos. People playing them as a walkthrough. I remember this artwork here and wondering who drew this. I still don't know to this day who drew it, but they did a pretty good job. And whoever did it essentially got used here and on the actual covers as well. Wow, what a great blast from the past. So sure enough, it blows up there. Punisher goes in. He's got his Gatling gun. Where did he have the Gatling gun? Unless he had it like in a bag of some sort. Yeah, that must be it. He was carrying it on his... Yeah, he probably had it here on his backpack. So it blows up here. Here's another game I remember seeing advertising for. Best of the Best Championship. Karate. Looks like it was on the NES. I remember looking at these advertisements and thinking, great graphics. Definitely took advantage of what the NES could offer at the time. There he is. There's my boy. taking care of business right there. It's too bad that stuff is pretty much banned right now. Well, who knows? It might be back soon. There's Micro, back when he looked like Micro. Nowadays, I think they use that really skinny guy on the Netflix series. It's like, no. Wayne Knight played him in the Punisher Warzone. That was the real Micro, not the skinny dude. I don't know who this dude is here. Punisher is about to jump in, and it looks like he's about to meet that sinister looking dude. Yep, sure enough, he meets him right there. And then it continues. I remember these. Anyone else have these in their comic books back in the 90s? This company pretty much bought out so much advertising. American Comics and Entertainment. I wonder if anyone dialed this number today, what would it lead to? What would it show? Because I remember just dreaming about all these beautiful comics back then. Look at that. Spawn #1. Look at that. This was during the Death of Superman saga. Back when it was barely starting. Who knew? If people knew back then how big that saga would be. Even to this day, there's still prints that are coming out associated with it. Wow. But I remember looking at this, looking at those cards. This was so out of my league. Even just at $1.50. Like, no chance for me to ever buy these. And then here you had the best sellers. Killing Joke, Judge Dredd, Aliens. Look at that. I remember reading these specific ones too, because I loved the Punisher back then, like Eye for an Eye and G-Force, and those were so expensive. No chance. And then I remember reading the hot comics and then seeing which ones were listed and which ones were dropping. Great stuff. I believe this company, I remember reading some information that they were bought out or they were sold to another company, and then that company continued, but then eventually they went under. Somebody correct me on that, just in case. So the Punisher looks like he survived the assault from that other sinister dude. Free comics for Christmas. I don't know about this one. Is this looks like it's a club that you join. You probably pay like a membership. Yeah, it's a membership for a year, 2 years. Wow, you could pay $50 and get free comics. At least the idea of being free comics. Okay. Looks like the Punisher is getting punished right there. The Brentworth artist is really good. I liked his artwork. Again in that Punisher Wolverine series. And then Alex Ross did a really good job with his artwork in that Justice series. He does gritty, realistic artwork. The kind of stuff that is perfect for the Punisher. None of this cartoony stuff. Instead, it's like something straight up, almost like a 70s movie. Back in the 70s comics as well. They had that series. All right. I remember these too. These full page ads spread out over 2 of them. Looks like this one is for a game called Sunset Riders. I remember the arcade game. I never played the actual game like on any system afterward, even years later. Anyone remember this game? Sunset Riders? They paid a lot of money. This was prime Punisher back when he was #1, back when he was top of the charts. So whoever, Konami in this case, the marketers, whoever they were, they paid prime money for this spot. All right, Punisher's kicking butt right there, knocking heads. And then it looks like, oh, he just stuffed him in there in a bag or a bowl of Coke right there, making him like have those side effects right then and there. Hey, cool, look at that. Even has the knife that showcases the skull. You can't beat that. Look at that. He did that throw that's from the Punisher movie, the Thomas Jane one. Pretty much threw it right at that guy's neck. And look at that. He threw him straight into the fire. Bye-bye, bad guy. I remember these, the bullpen bulletins. There was a neat way of them. Sometimes they would showcase what was hot, what was not, like a thermometer. Stan's soapbox. Look at that. Back when he was alive. Back when he was king, basically, of all comics. He would do these and then always end it as Excelsior, Stan Lee. By the way, you may have noticed I'm doing this vertical because comic books are vertical. But let me know if you want me to do it landscape. I can do so as well. I remember these neat little cartoons, if you could call them. And the artist, it was always the same artist every single month posting something. And then they were always had these little interviews, like little mini interviews within the actual description on here. Let me see if any one of these stand out. No, it looks like, okay, he's got something, but not much. Okay. And then East Coast Comics was another one that I remember being seen throughout multiple comic books. They did theirs differently. I thought they did theirs worse. As you can see, it's just print. There is no artwork. There is no fancy Captain America comic card like the other one had. It's just pretty much like a newsprint, like a newspaper, like a stock print. You've ever seen those back in the 90s and so on when they showed stock prices? This is what it looked like. Well, at least they get to the point. You can see like essentially what the prices were back then. Cool. I like that they only accepted Visa and MasterCard. No American Express. Uh-oh. Punisher just entered the room. And then there he is. There's my boy. I remember there was a guy who was doing Comic-Cons. And what he was doing was kind of shady, but kind of not. He was taking images like this, straight out of a comic book. I don't even know what his name was. But then he would blow them up, make them the size of a poster board, and then he would sell the print. But he would digitize it, like he would color it in with more realistic coloring. And apparently they sold really well. But people were mad at him because it was basically swiping this artwork to do his work, but he was changing it at the same time. So is that right? Is that wrong? I don't know. But I haven't seen his work in a long time. So this would have made a perfect poster board for him at least. Uh-oh, Punisher's getting the drop on him. Yep, sure enough, it looks like it ends with some people coming in. This is the police. Throw down your weapons now or we'll kill you where you stand. Where will the Punisher go from here? And of course, it always ends. Be here for the conclusion. 75th issue. What's that? What's that? Oh yeah, so number 74. So number 75, which always had anniversary pricing. There was double size and it had chromium and stuff. And who can forget these? The letters being sent in from fans and so on. Some of the fans would write their full names. I remember, oh, look at that, from Austin. I wonder if this dude is still here to this day. C.J. Wostall. And I remember some of them would actually put their full addresses too. It's crazy. So let's see what this guy has to say. Yo, Donnie, wow. Last 7 issues of The Punisher have been great. The Eurohead story was absolutely great. The art was great. Dougie makes the people look real as well as dramatic. That's what I was just saying. Great. I almost dreading issue 71 because I knew it couldn't be as good as the Eurohead. Well, shoot me full of holes and call me red. It was still great. Watching the Punisher trying to catch up with the war was absolutely hilarious. Okay, so me sense of humor is a little morbid. Great. Dan and Andy are doing some great stuff with this book, and their art seems to have gotten even better. I'd just like to end this letter by asking you to keep up the great work and keep this crew together. As a closing word, I'd just like to say, great. This guy says great a lot, doesn't he? So, yeah, looks like my boy C.J. Wostall here in my town, Austin. Definitely loved The Punisher as well. And then remember these? This was, I believe, from Marvel Comics themselves. Like, this wasn't a third party selling it. You could buy these titles, and the more you bought, the more you got discounted. So one title at full price, each one $5. So if I wanted, I would always go for this list in my dreams, basically, because I was too poor back then. I'd probably get The Punisher and probably Captain America. And what else? That's about it, really. So 15 times 2 equals 30. Minus the 5. So that would be about $25. Okay. And then these, I always saw it had the other Punisher ones. The Punisher War Zone, Punisher War Journal. I never understood why it was more expensive. Why is that one 15 bucks? Why is this Punisher 21 bucks? Unless they're paying for more for the artists and writers. I think it was just more of a money grab. Like these were the hot ones, and that's why they got the higher price. And then finally, some more advertisement. Wayne's World. Look at that. Back when the movie was just coming out, everyone apparently had a big fascination with Wayne's World back then. And a hot chick right there. VHS. Look at that. If they only knew what would come later on, right? And then finally it ends. I remember comics always had like a video game. The last panel. So whoever did this, Konami, again, paid good money. Prince of Persia. Alright. It came from the 90s. The Punisher, number 74. Let me know what you guys think about this series. I have dozens, maybe hundreds of these that I can chronicle individually from the 90s. I buy these cheap, 25 cents, something like that. And it's a great blast from the past. So if you want me to continue this, let me know. All right, everybody. Thanks again as always. Take care. Bye.